What really happens to the human body at every point of the solar system? People like the idea of space. Quiet, beautiful, stars, infinity. But there's a catch. The human body is a very fragile biological bag tuned strictly for Earth. Pressure, temperature, gravity, air chemistry, all of it lined up by accident. And if you remove even one parameter, you start to die. Today, Dex won't just tell you where you'll die, but why it happens that way. Spoiler, Earth is the best place for life, unless you decide to ruin it yourself. Let's start with the vacuum, because this is the baseline. In space, there is no pressure, and your body is designed for constant external air pressure. What happens? Oxygen in the blood stops reaching the brain, gases in the body begin to expand, the lungs stop working. Important, you do not explode. The skin is strong enough, but after 10 seconds, the brain loses oxygen. After 30 to 40 seconds, loss of consciousness. After 90 seconds, death. And no, you don't freeze instantly. Heat leaves the body slowly in a vacuum. The cause of death is simple: hypoxia, lack of oxygen. Okay, let's add energy. A lot of energy. The sun is not just hot. It is a source of extreme heat, massive radiation, streams of charged particles. Even at a distance, your body receives a dose of radiation that destroys DNA. And if you get closer, molecules in your body begin to break apart faster than the nervous system can react. You don't burn, you transition from the state of human into the state of nothing. Physics, no emotions. Next, the planets. At least, there's a chance to die more interestingly there. Mercury, minimum distance from Earth, approximately 77 million kilometers, has almost no atmosphere, which means there is no heat distribution. During the day, the surface heats up to plus 430 degrees Celsius. At night, it cools down to minus 180 degrees Celsius. Why is that? Earth's atmosphere works like a blanket. Here, there is none. On the sunlit side, proteins in the body denature, water inside cells boils, death in seconds. On the dark side, cells crystallize, tissues break down. Death is slightly slower. Without an atmosphere, a planet is an oven. And a freezer at the same time. No spacesuit ever made is going to save you here. Venus. Minimum distance from Earth, 38 million kilometers. Venus is a killing champion. Its atmosphere is 90 times denser than Earth's. It's like placing an ocean on top of you. Pressure crushes the chest, prevents blood from circulating, breaks spacesuits. Temperature, plus 460 degrees. Why is it so hot if it's farther from the sun? The greenhouse effect. Carbon dioxide traps heat. And yes, there is sulfuric acid in the air. Sequence 1, pressure. 2, temperature. 3, chemistry. You don't die. You stop being a structure. Let's fly to the moon. It's pretty close. The moon. Only about 380,000 kilometers. There is almost no atmosphere. Temperature swings are extreme, but the main problem is lunar dust. It is microscopic, sharp, does not break down over time. If inhaled, lung damage, inflammation, slow, painful death. It's like breathing glass. Yeah, and that's before we even talk about the zero oxygen, zero pressure, and the absolutely brutal radiation. Mars. It's the crown jewel of science fiction. But the reality? It's a death trap. Average distance from Earth? About 225 million kilometers. Once, it might have had oceans. But then, Mars lost its magnetic shield. Its core cooled down, leaving the planet defenseless. For billions of years, the solar wind has been literally stripping the atmosphere away into the void. Now, there's almost nothing left. The atmospheric pressure is less than 1% of what we have on Earth. It's 95% carbon dioxide. Oxygen, practically zero. The average temperature is a brutal minus 63 degrees Celsius. But you won't freeze to death instantly. First, you'll suffocate. Because the pressure is so low, the oxygen will actually be sucked out of your blood and back into your lungs. You'll lose consciousness in about 15 seconds. Without a spacesuit, your grand tour ends in under a minute. So why is everything so red? It's the same reason old metal turns crusty. Iron oxide. It's a world of rust, thin air, and lethal radiation. Sci-fi dreams are great, but Mars is a wasteland. Jupiter, the largest planet in the solar system, a gas giant, and a great place. If you were looking for a particularly exotic way to die. Let's start with radiation. Even 300,000 kilometers away. It's strong enough to fry a normal spacesuit. But let's assume you have some futuristic suit that blocks it, so you make it through the radiation belts. Well, not exactly make it. You're falling because Jupiter's gravity is about 2.4 times stronger than Earth's. The first thing you fall through are the upper clouds made of frozen ammonia crystals. The temperature here is around minus 150 degrees Celsius. And the winds, up to 480 kilometers per hour, basically an ammonia ice storm moving faster than a hurricane. As you fall deeper, temperature and pressure rise extremely fast. Near the inner regions of the planet, pressure may reach around 100 million times Earth's atmospheric pressure. Even deeper lies metallic hydrogen, an ultra-dense liquid that behaves like a metal. It would crush anything that falls into it. And if you somehow made it all the way to the core, temperatures are about 24,000 degrees Celsius. That's several times hotter than the surface of the sun. Jupiter is the only place where you get frozen, crushed, and then roasted. Saturn, the Lord of the Rings.
My precious.
Its legendary belt is 30 trillion tons of icy shrapnel, cruising 70 times faster than sound. Trying to fly through them is a suicidal minefield slalom, with house-sized boulders flying straight at your face at hypersonic speeds. At the North Pole, you'll find the hexagon, a six-sided storm, twice the size of Earth. Winds here hit 1,800 kilometers per hour, and it literally rains diamonds. Sounds pretty, until you're being pelted by hailstones made of solid carbon. Deeper down, it's a classic. Pressure crushes you into one of those diamonds, and liquid metal dissolves the rest. The finale is in the core at 11,700 degrees Celsius. That's twice as hot as the sun's surface. Saturn is the only place where you get pelted with diamonds before being turned into one. Uranus, an ice giant rolling on its side. The first thing you'll notice is the stench.
Ew.
The upper clouds are thick with hydrogen sulfide. Your last thought before your lungs give out, why does it smell like rotten eggs in here? But you won't have time to suffocate. At minus 224 degrees Celsius, your blood and eyeballs will freeze instantly, turning you into a brittle ice statue. Then, 900 kilometers per hour winds will kick in, shattering your frozen remains into tiny shards. If your remains fall deeper, they'll face a diamond barrage. The pressure is so intense it crushes methane into solid crystals. You'll be falling through an endless hail of gemstones that act like bullets at those speeds. Uranus is where you get nauseated by the stench, frozen solid, and then finished off by a firing squad of diamonds. Neptune, the blue giant 4.5 billion kilometers away. On a commercial jet, it would take 570 years to get here. The main attraction is the wind, screaming at 2,100 kilometers per hour. If you stick your hand out the hatch, it'll be ripped off before you can even blink. At minus 220 degrees Celsius, your body will turn into brittle crystal, which the supersonic flow will sandblast with ice shards. You won't just be blown away, you'll be shredded into atomic dust in seconds. But if your frozen skeleton makes it deeper, a hot water ocean awaits under 150 million pounds per square inch of pressure. That's 100 times more crushing than the bottom of the Mariana Trench. Here, water turns into a super compressed ionized liquid. Your remains will be squeezed into a speck, and then literally boiled in this exotic scalding soup. Was it worth it? First, you're spun at supersonic speeds, then crushed by the weight of 10 elephants, and finally your skeleton is boiled in exotic soup. Worst water park ever. Then there's Pluto, but these days it's not even considered a planet, just a lonely freezer at the edge of the system. In the end, the solar system is an endless parade of death traps, with Earth being the only hotel offering oxygen and water. At least here you aren't ripped into atoms by breakfast, but don't get too comfortable. There are still plenty of ways to die spectacular deaths right here, but more on that later.